Welcome in, everyone. So it sounds like it's wet and dreary all over the place. It's been raining here since late yesterday, midway through yesterday. Sounds like Pictou County's got rain as well. One of those dreary kind of days. I would happily send the rain your way if I could, Callie. I'm over it. We've had too much of it this winter. There's more this winter than we have in the last God knows how many years put together. Welcome in, Nurse. Good to see you here. Welcome in, Kelly, Fred, Ariel. Welcome in, Camilla, if you're in here. I don't know why StreamYard won't show me that you're there. I was watching some of Charmaine's live the other day, and she was saying the same thing about somebody else. So apparently it's a consistent thing across the board that we all have people who StreamYard won't show. Welcome in, TJ's mum. Oh, I need to get back into the habit of adding the link in the vertical chat for people to hop across to horizontal. Other way around, sorry, brain dead. Welcome in, Pinky, Sheila, Shine On. Rainy, cold in Adelaide as well. Wow. Oh, look, the sooner we get some summer, the better. Welcome in, Hugging Demons. Has Adelaide been just really wet this winter as well, or just seems that all we've had is rain? I feel like I'm in Melbourne, and I would never live in Melbourne, not just because of the weather. It's too city for me. But yeah, Bendigo is meant to be sunny, all the time. So, I know I've got Maddie up on the screen. I put her up on the screen because I'm gonna just start when I set up of a morning. I'm gonna start putting up whatever image, like whoever comes up on my iPad or my MacBook in that little box that shows you photos. So clearly Maddie needed to be seen this morning, so I put Maddie up. This is not my favourite photo of Maddie because it's been altered, but it's still kind of cute. You feel like you're in the romper room. Well, welcome in, Deb. Good to see you here. So this morning I had Maddie come up on my iPad and Jack and Lilly come up on my MacBook. So just sharing them. And it's interesting that it's this one. We're talking about Daniel, and Daniel's been, Mr. I don't abuse women, I don't abuse children. And what we have here is Jack with a black eye, Lily with really dry, cracked lips, and a locked fridge behind her. Now, the locked fridge, you can take it or leave it, could just be because they had a toddler in the house who was crawling. We don't know if she was crawling. Or it could be because there was limitations on what food they were allowed to have. You tell me. I have my thoughts on it, but I know people have different thoughts. Australian winters reminds you of weather in the UK. We are a temperate climate, but depends where you're at. So Melbourne, and then probably a bit further north than Melbourne, probably, if you go about an hour north of Melbourne and then you head south, then you get these very, very English kind of winters where it's just grey and dreary and you find yourself desperate for some sunlight. Here in the sort of central area of Victoria, it's more of a Mediterranean kind of climate, so usually here in Bendigo, Hong Kong, sorry. Gotcha. Usually here in Bendigo, we get like sun pretty much through winter. We probably get about 6 weeks of real winter weather, and then it's nice again. Like, you know, we're in the second week of August. We should be getting more sunshine and stuff now, but we're not. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Hong Kong weather. I'll have to look it up. Roasting your ass in Michigan. Oh, I wish you could send some of that here right now. I've still got my blanket wrapped around me. You're in the wrong chat too. Welcome in, Karen. Dying in the heat dome in Texas, Gulf Coast, Galveston is on in a drought. Wow. We would happily send you some of this rain. I needed a lawnmower to get to my lawnmower at the moment because my grass has just come up so much over winter. And because it came up so quickly, yeah, I wait for it to dry out so that I'm not just getting a pile of mush. And it rains again. I'm just going to have a pile of mush. Yeah, oh geez, going from Queensland to Adelaide, yeah. Winter would certainly make you homesick. This winter I've been sitting here thinking, if I didn't have my old dog who's not good with hopping in and out of the car, I'd be heading up to Port Macquarie or somewhere for several weeks holiday just to get away from the weather. But, you know, Parker's reached that age where she's very arthritic-y, needs help getting in the car. She weighs 30 kilo. I can't lift her. So anything like that's off the table. But yeah, Queensland would be perfect right now. Bit of Queensland sunshine, bit of those days with, 20 degrees temperatures and stuff like that would be so nice. And I know everyone on the other side of the world is going, no, we don't want winter to end. We don't want summer to end. But here we're like, we're over it. We're done. Yeah, I do prefer spring and autumn here in Bendigo, because it does start to get too hot in summer. But it depends where we're at. Like if you're further south, spring in like Melbourne is just about the same as winter. Wouldn't help her, I don't think. She's at that point where you got to be careful because she can lose her balance and end up on her ass. So I just don't think she'd navigate a dog ramp. My car's not high up. It's just a regular hatchback. But it's more she has to get into the footwell on the driver's side or passenger side. She can't do it in the back because there's not enough room between the seat and between the two seats. But she has to get into the footwell, and then you have to help her get up onto the seat. So a dog ramp probably also wouldn't work. 15 on a good day, but wind factor and rain make it feel more like 2. That's the thing, the wind really cuts through you. It does. She is on a supplement now, which has made a huge difference. But, when you start to get old and feel your age, it's when you start to have issues. So, yeah, I just have to try and make her life as happy and comfortable as I can now as she's getting on, even if that does mean getting up 3 or 4 times through the night. So I'm a little bit out of it this morning because she had one of those nights as well. I think the last time that I got up to take her outside was about 3:30 this morning. Good morning, Bonza. Good to see you here. So, yeah, I'm a little bit sleep deprived as well. But let's get on with it. Now, this is a news story from a number of years back. Amira seems to be feeling a lot better. She's a lot brighter now. I think we're on a winner, touch wood. And welcome in, Rita, if I didn't already welcome you in. Okay, this is a news story from maybe last year or a few years back. I didn't check, but it was when Koberger was in pre-trial, and they're talking about the vehicle forensics. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because Daniel starts doing Mr. Expert Forensics in the next part of this audio that I'm going to talk about. So I thought, I started going through and getting clips from my video that I did about 9 months ago about the forensics on Malehya's car. And I thought, I might as well I'll link that. After this live stream, I'll link that in the description for anyone who hasn't seen it. But I thought there's no point in me getting clips from that when a lot of people probably saw it anyway and they know the ins and outs. Whereas this Koberger news story, I think, is coming at it from a different angle. And this explains it in a far better way than Daniel does, because this is actually explained by someone who knows what the F they're talking about. So I'm going to play this before we go any further.
Be caught by his own car? Experts say clues hiding in his car's computer system could spell trouble for Brian Koberger, the man accused of killing 4 Idaho college students.
We can pull things like his contacts, his call logs, as well as some navigation and track point data that show his location.
It's called vehicle digital forensics, and it's changing the way murders are solved.
The car is, I guess, what we would like to call a gold mine in terms of forensics.
Even breathing new life into some cold cases.
We didn't know for sure that there was foul play until his body was discovered.
Rhonda French says her dad's murder went unsolved for years until a detective learned about vehicle forensics. Detectives say the key to solving the crime wasn't DNA or even fingerprints, but the computer system built into Ronald French's truck. By tapping into it, investigators say they found a time-stamped recording of the killer's voice, placing him at the scene of the crime.
When they found that, it was just like the clincher.
Prosecutors say when confronted with all that, Joshua Wessel pleaded guilty to the murder of Ronald French. So how does it work? Before we had experts hook into this car's computer infotainment system, I went for a little test drive. First, I fueled up at this gas station. Then I made a stop at this Starbucks. Back on the highway, I needed a little road trip music, so I put on one of my favorites. Shuffle Prince. Now shuffling Prince.
This is what it sounds like when your doves cry.
Time to get back to work.
Call Megan.
Calling Megan Lupo.
Call Charlie.
Calling Charlie Mikoravi.
Okay, Jake, you ready?
I'm ready.
Then I brought the car to Jake Green's team at Envista Forensics.
Oh, yeah.
In a matter of minutes, Jake's team carefully extracted the computer from inside.
There we go. This is the motherboard of our infotainment system, which holds the keys to the castle.
So, were they able to tell everywhere I went?
Lisa, my guys got you. The first place you stopped at down there is a gas station. It's a Circle K. Did you get gas?
I did.
And you went to a Starbucks. Did you get me a coffee?
I got me a coffee.
He could also pull info on who I was talking to.
At 11:52, you called Charlie McElravy at 517.
Don't say anymore. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he's part of our team. Who else did I call?
At 11:55, you called Megan Lupo at 201.
And could even tell what music I was listening to.
You listened to a Prince song.
Wait, you were able to even determine what I was listening to in the car.
That's exactly right.
And he says similar personal information from 17 other phones were stored on this car.
Whoops, sorry. I thought I had a bit longer than that. I was just bit of a crazy disaster in the background here while that was playing. Probably because of the rain, my shoulder was playing up, so I grabbed a couple of Panadol while that was on. Lost one of the Panadol on the floor and had to go diving around on the floor looking for it because I need to find it before Mouse finds it. So then I was still had just put the last Panadol in my mouth when the clip ended. So yeah, bit of chaos at this end. What they've shown there is a fraction of what they can actually find on a car's unit computer on its CPU. The last bit where they were saying about the other phones that have connected, they can get the data associated with all those other phones that are connected, just for starters. But if they really want to dig in, like if they're doing serious forensics for a crime, like if they were doing with Koberger, they can look at the different ignition cycles. So as in, each time the ignition is turned on, and then when it's turned off again, they can look at the distance in between each time that was done. They can look at how many passengers were in the front part of the car. To be honest, I'm not sure because I stopped following in the lead up to the trial, partly because it was concurrent with Stearns, and we just had one document coming out after the next. It was pretty much a daily thing that Stearns' defence team were filing a new motion. So I was up to my eyeballs in Maddie's case, but also just the craziness, the craziness of all the stuff with Koberger. Different degrees. So at the moment, or it's probably improved now. So places like I can't think of the name of the company. There's a lot of different companies that have their own software that they use for vehicle forensics. And they're constantly developing new software. So at the moment, if you go back to and this is how I know that Daniel must have watched my my video, because if you go back to cars from probably about 2010 onwards, 2020, some maybe as early as 2007, they can get data from their computers. So any vehicle that's new enough to have like a computer system, they can get forensics from. Down to if you look at Malehya's vehicle, that particular model has a seat adjuster that's like done with the computer. So the data that they could get from that, they would be able to tell the seat position when that vehicle was being driven. They would be able to tell if the seat position was changed. So they would know if like one person had driven the car and then someone else drove it. Depending on how much data has been recorded, they most likely would be able to find out the weight of the person in the two front seats, because with like modern airbags, they're now designed so that the seat basically figures out the size, the weight of the person, so that if it has to release an airbag, it's not going to like break their neck, which I know that sounds full on, but a lot of people were getting injured by airbags early on because they were set wrong and they were coming out too hard. So with modern vehicles that can actually have the sensors in their seats, they can actually sense the approximate weight of the person sitting in the vehicle and use that to gauge the strength of like releasing the airbag. Oh yeah. I know it's that was clearly a male came up with that idea, because it kind of sucks. No, I mean it's a good idea in terms of safety with airbags and stuff, but it's disturbing. But honestly, cars they're making more and more use of vehicles when it comes to forensics these days. So what I was saying with the ignition cycles, they can know what distance the vehicle has travelled. If your car has a GPS system in it, then it'll have all the GPS maps. Even if your car has connected to your phone, but you don't have a GPS system like in the car, they can still get the GPS information from the vehicle because it's connected to your phone. And you know how with some cars, when you hop in, if you turn on like the media, it might ask, do you want to connect to your phone? It's already connected to your phone at that point. So basically, what he was saying about it getting the data from 17 other phones, that's like anyone who's been in that vehicle that he just did the analytics on, the vehicle has basically connected up with their phones. So even though, you know, if you're sitting in the car and you're a passenger and you have to go in and you have to do the settings and you have to tell it to accept your phone, it already knows your phone's there. It's already got the data. Welcome in, Denise. Oh, Toyotas are bloody smart cars. I used to be a Toyota driver, had multiple Toyotas. My sister was more recently a Toyota driver than me. She had a Prius, and the technology in that is just amazing. Recently, she went on a holiday and hired a car, and it was a Toyota, and she was telling me afterwards, like, oh my God, you know, the technology in these vehicles. And, you know, her car's only 2-3 years old. Mine's a bit older. It depends on the age of the car, though, because even if it hasn't got like an inbuilt GPS system, it would still connect to his phone if his phone was in the vehicle. So it would still get the details. And even if it wasn't getting GPS, like in that area around Gairloch Road, it might be, you know, patchy in terms of GPS, but it will tell you how many kilometers were done in between each ignition cycle. And it will also look at gears. So let's say someone hops in the vehicle on Gairloch Road and then they drive along to the train tracks at Lansdowne Road and they put the car in park and they leave it running while they do something, and then they hop in the car and they put it back in drive and they drive back. It's going to show roughly the distance that's been travelled. It's going to show the gears that the car's been in. But the amount of things that it can, like, that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what the vehicle's, like, computer can actually track. If you haven't seen the video that I did on Malehya's vehicle and the vehicle forensics, I will link it after the live stream. I'll link it into the description for this because it's mind-blowing. We're talking, I think it's something like 3 million lines of code in the space, like in a day or something like that. It's got so many computers, so many little small computer chips in there. Oh, heck yeah. My car's got the rear bumper is kind of sticking out at a funny angle in one spot, and I've got no idea how it happened. Someone must have just bumped it at the right angle. And now it's going to need, like, you know, plastic welding to get it right. But they really are plastic. You were a Supra owner. I had, what Toyotas did I have? I had a little shorty, a short wheelbase Land Cruiser. I had a few different Corollas. So I had one that was a hatchback and one that was one of those kind of long ones that looks like a sports car. I know I had more than that. I've had a few Toyotas. The reason I'm struggling to remember is I was actually doing some calculations the other day. I've had, I think I worked out, I think the car I've got now is my 11th vehicle. So in terms of trying to remember the different vehicles that I've had, it can be a challenge. My first car was a Mini, I can tell you that. But in between, it takes time to think about it. I loved my big old shorty Land Cruiser. It was like a 1979 Land Cruiser with those big solid metal bumpers. And there was no messing with that car. Solid as a brick. Oh dear. Your car is all metal, you can tell from the rust. And only Aussies are going to get this, but do you drive a Ford? Chevy is kind of like a Ford, isn't it? In terms of, I think a lot of our Ford, when we had Ford factory here, a lot of our Ford parts were sort of from the same company as like a lot of the Chevy stuff. Yep. My bumper on my little car is kind of, it's got a bit sticking out where it's just kind of being put out of whack. Your truck is 23 years old. Well, that's respectable. Damn. Now I meant to bring up those ads to look at today as well in terms of the Kia, the one that Durwood was selling. Yep. Worst car I ever had was a Ford Falcon. I don't know why I bought it. I used to have a Ford Laser and I loved that car. And then when the Land Cruiser died, I still needed a big car. I needed a car for towing, and the Falcon had the weight in it. So I bought a Falcon. Within 6 months, the engine was shot. Put a new engine in, and it was going through fan belts every 6 to 8 weeks. And the mechanic said to me, the drive shaft actually moves. And he said, it's a problem with this particular model of Falcon, and there's going to come a point where you're not going to be able to keep the fan belts on. And there's a very real chance that the drive shaft's just going to go straight through the firewall. I was like, yep, it's a Ford. Oh, Camilla's in here. Welcome in, Camilla. I don't know what Camilla's saying, but if she's saying that she drives a Ford, it's okay. I drove a Ford too. I had 2 Fords. Anyway, so moving on from that, enough of the joking around. Oh my gosh, Canadians say the same stuff about you have Fords in Canada. Welcome in, just the facts, ma'am. That's so cool. Now Cortina's classic cars. I think it was when they started introducing the Falcons that that things went to yeah. That is a good one. Found dead on the road. There was a problem. What had a problem with exploding gas tanks? Wow. That's disturbing. I must admit, I will never ever buy a Honda again, because I had a Honda Civic and it just basically spontaneously combusted. It did well until then. It got up to 200,000 Ks. Because I used to travel quite a lot. I've done a lot of kilometers in the time I've been driving. But this Honda just basically got... it was only a few weeks after it had just got past 200,000 Ks, and it just went kaplooey. Snails drivers cargo. Nice one. Oh, the Pintos. Wow. If it was rear-ended, the Pinto would explode. That's frightening. That's frightening. Well, I didn't know that. Here we go. Ford Falcons were used by the Argentinian dictatorship in the 60s to round up their enemies and disappear them. That's one way of getting rid of a Ford. Oh my gosh. I had a friend whose mother had a Cortina, and we used to joke about it being a Flintstone car because the floor wells had rotted out. And it used to be a case where I can remember, instead of us being like fighting over who got to go in the front, it was fighting over who got to go in the back, because whoever travelled in the front could see the road under their feet. Wow. Okay, let's get back to Lily and Jack, because you know that when I've had a lack of sleep, I'm just going to keep squirreling out. Okay. I'm going to play this because I actually remembered my brother's birthday yesterday, so I thought I'd just play this because it's just kind of amusing.
Our own language in this country that confuses a lot of the world. Do you know, in America, they do not sing hip hip hooray at the end of happy birthday. Did you know we were the only people who did that? Do you know how fucking embarrassing it is? I was at a table of people I didn't even know that well, and they finish happy birthday and I just go, hip hip! And it's just silence, and they're all just staring at me, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't usually fucking happen. And one of them goes, what'd you do that for? I went, oh, in Australia, one person yells out hip hip and then everyone yells hooray, and we do that 3 times. And they went, why do you do that? And I went, I don't fucking know. I didn't know you weren't meant to do it. It's always been there. It's really weird when it's not there. They just finish happy birthday and go, happy birthday to you. So you can't help yourself, can you? You needed to. You needed to get it out of your system. You do, don't you? We need to, all right? Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! That's fucking insane to the rest of the world. The rest of the world, that is a weird, strange thing to do. Happy birthday goes for 45 minutes in Australia. We do the hip hips and then someone goes, why was he born so beautiful? Hey, don't cut the cake, I'm not done singing. I've got a whole number prepared.
You know the bird.
It's so true. And Americans don't understand this. Especially, I found this clip that's only like a few seconds long, like 30 seconds or something, where these guys are totally perplexed by this why was he born so beautiful thing that we do, which we don't pay attention to the words, we just sing it.
Song, which is an objectively bad song. It's not a good song, but it's whatever. It's, you know, it's simple. Everybody kind of knows that you sing it. Well, in Australia, there's a second verse that they sing, and the second verse goes like this: why was he or she born so beautiful? Why was he or she born at all? Because he or she had no say in it. No say in it at all.
That's dark.
What the?
I'm like,
What are you talking about? That's bleak.
Are you okay, Australia?
That's bleak.
They had no say in their
Happy birthday.
life.
Here's a reminder of your own mortality and the lack of
existential
control
horror.
that you have over
You were
anything in
surprised.
your life going
Nobody
past or
wanted
forward.
you. Yeah. You just, why are you so beautiful? Why do you exist? Like it's
That's
rough.
horrible.
Yeah, people don't get us here in Australia. It's that whole larrikin thing, isn't it? We laugh at ourselves, we laugh at everybody else. We just see the world differently. What can I say? Anyway, so let's hop in and get on with some of this Daniel stuff, because I've spent a lot of time talking and squirreling out.
Go from either direction. They even have the highway cameras, right?
Whoops.
Yeah.
So
Right.
they could go.
Oh, actually, that is where I queued it up to. Okay. We do need humour to survive, that's for sure. Okay, so he was talking about the cameras and stuff yesterday and talking about the cameras being missing and everything. I kind of tried to queue it up to a point where we could at least catch up on where he was. Oh, you're kidding me. The birthday song is copyrighted, so they can't sing the whole song in movies. How ridiculous. I mean, I can understand with, the Kookaburra song, I can understand, oh, you know what I mean, brain's not working. I can understand that in terms of claiming copyright on the whole Kookaburra sits in a old gum tree thing, but someone actually claiming copyright on the birthday song, yeah, Men at Work was sued for that, which is a joke because it's just, it is such a major part of Australian culture. We all grew up learning the Kookaburra song, but honestly, okay, so let's jump in with this properly now.
Either direction. They even have the highway cameras, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But the ones that are in the vicinity of where your home is, those ones weren't working. Any of them. The only one I think that was working was Brad's, but his wasn't even facing your way. You know what I mean? It would have been facing. And yes, there was other ones. There was another one a couple doors down, I believe, from the one across the railroad tracks. And
it just occurred to me, Daniel's latest version of his route, he actually says in his latest version of his route that he went along Lansdowne Station Road to the one that starts with M. I was going to say Montreal because we were talking about that yesterday, but not that one. To the other road just where his uncle lives. He said he went along that road. So if there's any truth in that, and they've gotten Brad's cameras, which I'm guessing they would, it would show. And if it's a made-up story, it'll also show.
there was something, I think, up, like further up Garlic Road there. But just meaning like, I think that where this case lies is one of those things is that there's.
Brad's in the house. Welcome in, Brad. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, that's only one of his recent additions. The whole I've driven along what did he say? He reckons he went to Lansdowne Road, went to the train tracks, turned around, then he went down and he went along Lansdowne Station Road, and he's like, and past Brad's house, and then he's like, and along to the end of the road, then, this whole new route that he came up with, I think on Sunny's or Charmaine's channel. Just a joke. Honestly, trying to keep track of his stories, his BS, is a challenge.
Nothing because of the circumstances. We know something happened.
There's a lot of stuff too that people don't think about. When you think about from this this point of view, we can call it. Major Crimes has the ability to triangulate when you triangulate cell phone signals, right? They have to ping off towers, right? And they can triangulate all the cell phones that've been in the area, right?
Again, trying to sound like an expert, and he doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay. Yes, they can do a cell phone dump from any tower, but triangulating is a different thing entirely. Yeah. Bonza says, boss man, that the grass is greener over in the other chat, in the horizontal chat. It is the word of the day. You're so right. You are so right. And he's got it completely wrong. They can geofence an area, which is what he's trying to talk about. But that's not triangulating. Geofencing means that they just find out every single phone that connected to the towers in the area. But the thing is, in terms of triangulating, they can't do that there around Lansdowne Station because there's not enough towers. They might get some crossover, but you've got all these gaps in coverage. So at best, they're going to be able to say, okay, well, the phone was connected to this tower. We've got this bit of movement here while it was connected to this tower, and then it disconnected from this tower. And then at this point in time, it connected to this other tower, and we can track this bit of movement, and we'll fill in the gaps ourselves based on time. But they can't triangulate in an area that doesn't have multiple towers where you get the overlap and you don't get things dropping out. Oh yeah, I think you are right, and welcome in deafening silence. This is what's going to bite them on the ass. There's so much, and Rob McCammon has hinted at this as well. It's not just about all the photos and videos. There is so much more digital forensics that they have got. Oh, you're a little bit behind us talking about the phones and the cars and stuff. Yeah, exactly. Well, now that's really lucky for them that they've got Starlink, because that is going to make life so much easier for the detectives. So very, very convenient, because it is going to see, Daniel said in, I don't know if it was this one or in Charmaine's, he said that even when he's up in the woods behind Janie's place, he can connect to the Starlink. So that's really, really good in terms of digital forensics. Because when he was up in the woods behind the house on day one doing whatever it was he was doing, if he had his phone with him, which I just realised he said he didn't, so that puts that out the window. But day two, he had his phone. So if he was still in the proximity of the property on day two, they'd know where he was. According to Daniel, he forgot his phone on Friday, just like Janie. They both forgot their phones on Friday, conveniently. But Daniel pointed out that you could track his movements on Saturday because he did take his phone. Did he say that for the Friday, though, or the Saturday? Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Especially, it's not just the people don't forget their phones, though, is it? It's the whole, allegedly, you have 2 children who've gone missing, who've supposedly wandered off into the woods that you think. Yep. And oh yeah, Maddie forgot her phone that day too. Like, red flag. Do these people realise how stupid they look? Yeah. Exactly. Honestly, the first dead giveaway is someone being like, we've got 2 children missing. We're going to hop in the car. We're going to grab 2 sets of car keys, apparently. By the way, he says it. And we're going to hop in the car and we're going to drive around everywhere. And we're thinking enough to go and check every culvert and every drain and every dirt road. But didn't think to take a phone just in case we find them and need to call someone. Apparently Jamie was the same. Like, I call BS on that one. And, you know, Stephen Stearns, who is permanently attached, or was permanently attached to his phone. And yet, apparently twice he forgot his phone in one day. The first time was when he was allegedly taking Maddie to school, which we know he wasn't. The second time was in the afternoon when he was out running errands, which is when he was taking Maddie and putting her in that field out at St. Cloud. Yes, he had to recruit his friends. Oh, I'll tell you what, I'm behind the 8 ball. Yeah, Malehya's like, I had to turn off the Wi-Fi so I could call out. She didn't have to turn off the Wi-Fi to call 911. So why was it turned off? Good question. Yep. Exactly. Might have been Malehya's phone that was used, but we don't know Malehya was the one that did it. I would imagine that they have tracked his phone back several months from before the children went missing. I also suspect that they are still monitoring his phone. And as for the piece of blanket being found on the Monday evening, I don't believe that that was called in by Daniel. I believe that he was probably being surveilled at the time. They had him under surveillance, saw him put something out in the bin at night time, and went and checked it out and went, look, here's the rest of the blanket. And on that note, Mike MX has done another brilliant video. He dropped it a few hours after my live stream yesterday. So if you haven't caught that, go and check it out. Could be. I do think that Janie and Daniel met up on the top of that hill for a reason. It is possible that Daniel disabled the Wi-Fi, turned it off and disabled it when he was out and about because he was paranoid about Malehya making phone calls that he didn't want her to make.
And they have the ability to do that.
You know,
well, they can also too. Major crimes could also see that my phone was never moved. It was connected to Wi-Fi for that whole time, and we only drove Malehya's car, right? So and every car that has GPS installed into it, I think it's after like 2007 or 2008, right? Every vehicle contains a black box. That's what I refer to it as. So they can tell when a vehicle moves at what certain times, or they can see like how fast a vehicle goes, or how many times it's put in drive or reverse. Every vehicle has a black.
Thank you for the jewels, Carrie. Welcome in, Dawn, and welcome in, Carrie. And Hemi, I forgot to welcome you in. As you can see, he's been studying up on vehicle forensics. But he's really hasn't kind of taken it in very much. I find it fascinating that he has to point out that his phone stayed connected. Like, it was connected to the Wi-Fi the whole time. Okay, well, that just means that that's where your phone was located. What's that got to do with you, Daniel? Because was my audio messing up again. Apologies, and welcoming Cupping Seal. Thank you very much, Carrie. Very much appreciated. Thank you so much. By telling us his innocence, it seems he might have done prior research, which will show up on search history. And it will. All these things that he's been researching, I have no doubt that they're accessing all this as well. Yes. That is correct, because Stearns was like, they didn't catch Maddie on camera when she went missing after I dropped her off at school, and I can't believe that there weren't street cameras in 2024. And boy, were there street cameras. I should actually, in one of these live streams, one of our Jack and Lilly live streams, bring up the phone data and the camera footage that they had on Stefan Stearns. Now, I know it's a little bit different because we're talking Gerlock Road, but just to give people an idea of the technology. No, we knew it was 2024. So good. He's very confident, but he just doesn't know anything at all. That's a good question. I don't know if Brad's still here. Daniel claiming that. Well, Daniel made two claims. One claim was that he didn't know Brad, and the other claim was that Brad had said he didn't know that Jack and Lily lived on the property. But I'm guessing Brad's just kind of done a flyby and is probably not still around. But yeah, that question is out there. He's like, we only drove Malehya's car, right? This right that he throws in, left, right, and centre. See, the thing is, he can claim we only drove Malehya's car, and he might think, well, this other vehicle didn't have forensics, didn't have a proper CPU in it. It was too old for vehicle forensics, or this vehicle is gone, so they can't do the vehicle forensics. But if they do the vehicle forensics on Malehya's car, they can also know when Malehya's car wasn't used, which is telling just as much of a story as tracking when it was used and where it went. I believe there is. And welcome in, Ange. I feel confident they have got camera footage because in that last press conference, one of the things that Rob McCammon said was about how the vehicle going back and forth in the early hours of the morning, he wasn't going to give much in terms of confirmation, but he said, but that forms part of our investigation. Now, if all they had were witness statements from Brad and Justin, that's really flimsy. So for him to actually quite boldly say that forms part of our investigation, that to me says they've got more than just Brad and Justin's statements. They've got something solid, and I suspect that it probably comes down to camera footage. Yeah. They will, if it's true about this vehicle, he will certainly get done on destruction of evidence, that's for sure. It's mind-blowing if it's true. It really is. Like, you hear that the human remains detection dogs are coming in, and you dispose of one of your vehicles, even though you've had all these other vehicles lying around the property dead for who knows how long, and there are still vehicles lying around the property dead. I do think that they're waiting on this current case against Daniel to progress. I suspect based on statements from them, I think that they are looking at the case in terms of potentially a violent event or something connected to his drug use. So if they can get a conviction on these other charges, then the prosecutor's going to be pushing for them to be included as evidence when it comes to Lily and Jack. I think the goal is to make sure that they have a rock-solid case, something that a defence team cannot tear apart in any way whatsoever. He was really vague about that, wasn't he? I'd have to go back and listen. I don't think he said. I think he was evasive about that. Jeez, wow. Daniel's not liking Pictou County. Fancy that. Fancy that, because, you know, he's such a charmer. Yeah, well, if that audio is real from whichever uncle it was that somebody got an audio from, it says a lot. No, they can't use anything from Jack and Lily's case. Alvin, thank you, Mr. Hemi. They can't use anything from Jack and Lily's case as evidence, aside from statements. If hypothetically the person who is the victim had given statements to the RCMP about Daniel being violent, then those statements could be admissible. But in terms of Lily and Jack specifically, in terms of like Jack's black eyes and things like that, because that is a CPS case, because it's an active missing persons case, they wouldn't be able to use any of that sort of stuff as evidence. So the only stuff they would be able to use would be statements given by individuals who had been victims of Daniel. And then they would still interview those people again. Yeah, called him conniving. I thought it was Wayne. Yeah, the narrative has changed quite a bit. Oh, I hope you're feeling better soon then, Unky. Yeah, go get some rest. That's my concern. There's a case that I covered. I did, I think, one video on it of a woman here in Australia who was run down and killed by her ex-partner. Because it was classified as vehicular homicide and not intimate partner violence. He got 8 years. I mean, the justice system, when it comes to any sort of intimate partner violence, is lacking, seriously lacking. Thank you very much, Donna Williams, very much appreciated. I know. It's so sad that the value or the lack of value that is placed on the lives of victims by the legal system. And I still marvel at this case here in Australia of little bitty Porter, where her parents couldn't even talk about her case for 4 years. We'd never heard of Bitty Porter here in Australia until 4 years after she was killed by her cousin, because the Supreme Court decided it was far more important to protect the identity of her cousin. Sorry, of the 14-year-old girl. The Supreme Court decided it was far more important to protect the identity of the 14-year-old girl that killed this 10-year-old child than to actually allow her story to be told, than to actually allow her parents to be able to talk about their own daughter and get the support that they needed. Yeah, it does seem that way. The injustice of Biddy's case, I will never get over it. It's just so infuriating. When I see how broken her parents are, and that they had to go through that in silence for 4 years. Like, how is that fair? And now the girl's on day release. The prosecution were like, yeah, look, the best option is if you agree to reduce capacity, because she could end up being locked up for much longer that way. 4 years down the track, they find out she's getting day release. And they get told that's probably in preparation for her actually being released. A dangerous psychopath who the only thing that will stop her from killing again will be medications. And do they really think that she's going to stay on her medications if she's released? Anyway, enough ranting on that.
Box after a certain date, and it's stored in.
I'll run it back a little bit because I know I've been talking too much.
My phone was never moved. It was connected to Wi-Fi for that whole time, and we only drove Malehya's car, right? So and every car that has GPS installed into it, I think it's after like 2007 or 2008, right? Every vehicle contains a black box. That's what I refer to it as. So they can tell when a vehicle moves at what certain times, or they can see like how fast a vehicle goes, or how many times it's put in drive or reverse. Every vehicle has a black box after a certain date, and it's stored in the CPU unit or the ECU in a vehicle. It's called the ECU.
Yeah.
The electronic computer, the module, or ECM. So they can tell.
Oh dear, which is it, Daniel? It's like a black box. That's actually the event data recorder, which is not the same as the CPU in a vehicle. The event data recorder is what kicks in when the vehicle records something that is a warning sign that the vehicle is possibly about to be involved in a accident. And welcome in, Chips. He is a total narcissist. He says all this so confidently that it makes it sound like he knows what he's talking about. But then he goes from talking about the black box to the CPU to the ECU to the ECM. No, totally clueless. And he's describing two different things here completely. The black box, as he's calling it, that's the event data unit. Event data recorder, sorry, all his little things are doing my brain in. But he's an expert. I think he needs a Yep, I got your ECU right here. Oh, it's so sad. The black house is still there. Cool.
When Malehya's vehicle moved and where did it go? And we only drove Malehya's.
Actually, I have a question, boss man. The house on the opposite corner from the black house, do those people know the Martells and the Mackenzies very well? I'm not going to ask, obviously, on a public live stream who those people are, but I am curious that big white house on the other side on the opposite corner at the beginning of Lansdowne Road, do those people know Janie and Daniel and all that really well? Just, asking for a friend. Because I'm curious about some things connected to that house.
Because we got it on April 1st, right?
You had a vehicle at your dad's house, though, right? That wasn't running. That's correct?
No, I never. I don't. My dad owns those vehicles. I don't own them.
You don't know. You've never spoken to them. Cool. Okie dokie, Daniel. So you've got a car at your dad's house, right? No, my dad owns those vehicles. The audio that we listened to yesterday, yeah, that's one of my big questions. Apparently that house has cameras and they weren't working. there's a few more things that I've looked at about that house that just raise questions for me. The Black House is actually owned by a Geddes. So that has connections to Dingbat. Oh yeah, the stammering. The thing is, he's just painted himself into a corner here. Because earlier, when Sonny brought up about the Kia, and he's trying to deflect and say that he doesn't know anyone that owns a Kia, he's never driven a 5-speed car, he's never driven a Kia. I think at one point he goes as far as saying he's never had a black car. He doubles down on that by saying, I can tell you all the vehicles that were registered in my name. So he's basically saying, no, the Kia didn't exist because you can check I've never had one registered in my name. I've never physically owned a Kia. And now I could bring up the article. I won't because it would take me forever to find the right one. But the Globe and Mail, the article, and I can tell you exactly which one to look for, the one where they have the image of that rickety old caravan at Earl's Place. And it talks specifically about Daniel's vehicle being at Earl's Place, his broken down vehicle. I believe so. That's what we were heard. That, you know, the vehicle belonged to his aunt, is what I've heard. Well, yeah, you know, we've got those images of Malehya's car on the 2nd with no plates on it. So, the other vehicle probably wasn't even registered. But this whole flimsy thing of, oh no, you know, those vehicles at Earl's, he owns them. Yeah. How is it? I have to agree with you completely on this, boss man. How is it that names were included in the documents, just like your name, Justin's name, that basically dumped you in even more of a pile of shit with your moronic neighbours? Sorry, just, you know, saying it as it is. How is it that they do that and then other people, you look in the documents and they redacted half the stuff about Durwood? Like, I'm sorry, but given everything we know about the Mackenzies, about the Martells, mentioning anybody in the area who has come forward as a witness, I don't know why they released that information in the documents. It's absolutely baffling, especially after seeing exactly the outcome afterwards. And releasing it with a minor's name in it. Hayden's girlfriend was a minor at the time. And yet they released a document with her name on it, identifying her. Like, That's something that I have not been able to wrap my head around. Oh yeah, they will hide informants' names, but in terms of releasing documents with the names of people in it who are going to get flack from the locals. Yeah, Justin's name did come out in the dispatch, but you wouldn't necessarily put two and two together in terms of him actually saying that he heard a vehicle coming and going. Because in the dispatch, it's more about him saying that he wanted to speak to them about vehicles that were seen in the area or something. So that doesn't necessarily connect directly to Daniel. But, and it's not just about the dynamics in the community. It's also that whole thing of Daniel knew. They told Daniel in the first couple of days after they got the statement from Brad. They told Daniel about that. They told him who made that statement. So even before the documents came out, Daniel and Janie were on this full-on smear campaign. Now, they didn't mention Brad outright, but you could tell that because they knew that Brad had basically gone forward as a witness and told the RCMP what they saw, they were getting ahead of the game. Janie especially, just hearing the talk about this dodgy neighbour that they had. So that when the documents were finally released, they're like, look, see, we told you so. And all of a sudden it's like full-on assault. This is where law enforcement need to understand these small communities and be a little bit more careful about releasing information about witnesses. I mean, we're grateful. I mean, I was only saying yesterday how grateful we are that Brad came out and spoke for Lily and Jack, and that he's continued to step up. Boss man is Brad. He's one of the heroes, one of Lily and Jack's heroes, in my opinion. But yeah, RCMP really didn't do good there. It was so obvious that they were scared of what people heard. I mean, they went out on the defence from that very first post that was put on Facebook where someone was saying that they'd seen a lot of vehicles there on the Thursday. And from that moment, they were on the defence. They were attacking their neighbours, trying to discredit their neighbours. But definitely, yeah, hero's probably too strong a word, but it's, if witness statements from Brad and Justin help get justice for Lily and Jack, then yes. But yeah, Daniel and Janie were definitely trying to steer the narrative before names were even mentioned.
Oh, okay.
I sometimes drove my father's vehicles, yeah.
Okay.
But not after me and Malehya got the white Nissan Pathfinder.
Can't you remember, Daniel, you've said it 20,000 times. Malehya's 2017 Nissan Pathfinder, struggling a lot here to spit out the words, because he knows that that's not the only vehicle that he was driving. He's trying to, again, reconstruct the narrative because he's backed himself into a corner. and it's showing. I'm going to run it back and play that whole bit straight through so you can hear all the stuttering and the crap. Because you can hear what's going on here.
Or how many times it's put in drive or reverse. Every vehicle has a black box after a certain date, and it's stored in the CPU unit or the ECU in a vehicle. It's called the ECU.
Yeah.
The electronic computer, the module or ECM. So they can tell like when Malehya's vehicle moved and where did it go. And we only drove Malehya's vehicle because we got it on April 1st, right?
You had a vehicle at your dad's house, though, right? That wasn't say, running. That's correct?
No, I never. I don't. My dad owns those vehicles. I don't own them.
Oh, okay.
I sometimes drove my father's vehicles. Yeah.
Okay.
But not after me and Malehya got the white Nissan Pathfinder. We exclusively only drove that vehicle.
It was him trying to say the I like that the first question, does Janie's voice hurt your ears? No, I know. But my loud truck hurts hers every day I drive by. Oh, that's good to know. Good to know. Yeah, he has to differentiate. It's always got to be Malehya's vehicle. Malehya's 2017 Nissan Pathfinder. Like, oh my gosh, who says that? Why the need to continually push that it's Malehya's vehicle? Honestly, he's really pushing again. Yep, total redirect. But we know that she didn't get the plates for that vehicle till it would have been what, about the 1st of May? So were they really driving around for an entire month in that Nissan Pathfinder? And none of these other vehicles that Daniel drove that didn't belong to him. Yeah. He's just so evasive over the vehicles. He really is. Sorry, I'm just making myself a note because I want to go through all the audio in terms of what he's said, because I think it would be interesting to listen to it back to back.
Who's Patty's son?
Oh, Patty's son.
Yeah.
Do you know who? Oh, thank you. Do you know who married Patty's son? Patty's son. I don't even know who Patty's son is.
See, this is the thing. If I say their names, then they get dragged into the conversation by other channels that are just pro money.
Oh,
look, I have to agree with him there. But I also think that he's probably not had much connection with Paddy's son because he doesn't live in Canada. It actually sounds like, when you think about it, if they did actually get it on the 1st of April, then that 30 days would have been up on the day that they got the plates. So they pretty much left it to the last minute to get the plates, which wouldn't surprise me with Daniel in the least. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they have got camera footage of him driving a black vehicle. the black vehicle that was then left at Earl's place, so that when they reported the children missing, that vehicle wasn't there. Yep. Or had. Is that the one that Durwood sold? Because I've got a bunch of different ads for vehicles that have been sold by Durwood and Daniel. And it's interesting that Daniel claims he never owned a black vehicle because the ad was for a black vehicle. Yeah, he does that when he's constructing narratives there. He's basically trying to think on the spot in terms of what to say. I believe that he probably knows very little about Paddy's son and is trying to cover for that by just basically saying, I'm not going to bring up the name because other channels are going to run with it. And we know that Vodka Man and Scamneater, they're already running with it, apparently. But, you know, he's not wrong on that.
Paddy's son.
Oh, Paddy's son.
Yeah.
Do you know who? Oh, thank you. Do you know who married Paddy's son? Paddy's son. I don't even know who Paddy's son is.
Paddy's. See, this is the thing. If I say their names, then they get dragged into the conversation by other channels that are just pro money.
Yeah, you're right. The channels and a few other things there, but the channels really stands out. Definitely constructing the narrative on the go. I suspect, doesn't really know anything about Malehya's uncle that doesn't live in Canada. It's when you can hear it when he's constructing a narrative, or he's trying to be very careful in terms of he knows that we pick up when he stumbles over words and stuff. So I suspect that he's also focusing a lot on his pronunciation for that reason. Aha. That was my question yesterday, which I forgot to bring up. So thank you, Tiffany. And the answer is Boss Man still confident it was a black Kia Rio, and the answer is yes. I'm happy with that. I think you just have to look at the sensitivity here. They are bending over backwards to discredit Brad and Justin, and bending over backwards to say that, hey, Daniel didn't even own a black vehicle, let alone own or drive a Kia Rio. I think that was just Sunny trying to process, because I don't think she'd actually heard that Paddy had a son, because the talk has only been about Cindy, really. Oh dear. Yeah, I've never owned one, so I don't know. They're not ones that come up if you're researching to buy a new car. So, you know, they're not standout vehicles. And some models are absolute lemons. So, yeah. Okay.
By the way, did you block me on Messenger? I went to go send you the link.
I have so many people blocked. I might, because I have a lot of YouTube creators blocked. I mean, the only one I I don't have blocked. It's probably shenanigans, and I probably should block her.
This after saying, I think in Charmaine's live stream that, or maybe it was in one of his media interviews, that he doesn't block anyone. He likes to just leave his thing open, and that's why he doesn't always get back to responding to things, because he gets so many messages. And now he's like, I block all the creators except for shenanigans. Okay, so why not block shenanigans? Is it because he was hoping to basically use her as a way of putting pressure on Malehya again? You know, send information to her with the intention that she would push it back to Malehya. Yep. And this is something too that has been mentioned previously. It was a different neighbour who posted in Facebook about there being vehicles there or a party there on the Thursday. That was made pretty clear by Brad's wife. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that, because I know that's one thing that Janie and that have been really pushing in terms of blaming it again on Brad. Yeah, poor Brad wasn't invited. How heartbreaking for Brad. Can you imagine not being invited to a party with Janie and Daniel? Like, how devastating. Yes. I mean, he's got so many sock accounts that blocking them wouldn't matter for him. Yeah, exactly. That's yeah. He wants to make Shan a mutual friend to send information back to Malehya. That's the only reason why he wouldn't block shenanigans.
Wait a second. Why don't, like, just ask you, because I mean, I don't honestly follow shenanigans, and I never really have. I've been on a couple of her lives. Everyone, you know, like everyone's saying that she's like just pro Malehya,
Yeah.
and all that, and whatever, right?
No. I have an issue with that, because
But why do
she
you not have
said I just never did that. Probably should, because she never tried to message me ever, right?
Mm.
And I realized when I go through my Facebook, sometimes it says people you might know, and I see her pop up, and it's just like,
yeah,
I seen that yesterday, and I was like, I should probably block her.
Well,
but
I mean,
I mean, she's pro Malehya to the point where she thinks that I'm guilty of everything. Malehya's this.
Daniel, people don't have to be pro Malehya to think that you are guilty of stuff. People could completely forget about Malehya's existence, and we just have to listen every time you open your mouth. He really doesn't get it, does he? There's a used car dealer that sells mostly Kias here in Stellarton. Personally, not a great car to own. Yeah, anytime I get a new car, I do serious research. So I go through car reviews. I look for factory recalls and stuff like that. And Kia has never ever rated for me in terms of a vehicle that I would consider buying. But I also think at the same time, you know, when you find a good vehicle that you've done all the research and you know it's a good vehicle, you tend also to ignore the other ones that don't rate anyway. So don't know a great deal about them. Yeah, apparently he did, yeah. So as soon as she started talking about Malehya's new boyfriend, Daniel was there. It is. It's a popularity contest. It is the classic narcissistic thing of he wants everyone to like him better than Malehya. I think the fact that he offered that up just shows that it is something that's important for him. It's not a case of, oh, she's just randomly showed up in my feed and I haven't blocked her. It's a case of she's like the first content creator he thinks of, because that to him is a way of manipulating Malehya further, in my opinion. Yeah, people buy them because they're cheap. And that's the lesson I learned early on when it came to buying cars. You buy a cheap vehicle and you spend more than what you pay for the vehicle in repairs and maintenance. Yeah. He's a hero. Welcome in, Nancy Da. Good to see you here.
Wonderful,
Wallflower.
precious, innocent girl, right?
Yeah, it's
And
not my
like
world.
the problem is, she said she talks to Cindy. She said she talks to Cheryl. She talks to Malehya. But yet, to this day, she has never, ever said anything that they have said to her.
Now, Daniel is basically latching onto what a lot of people said in terms of Shan's approach. Welcome in, Aussie True Crime. Good to see you here. For him, the issue here, basically the first thing he's said here is that she talks to Cindy, she talks to Malehya, and she talks to Cheryl. That is his concern. He doesn't give a damn if Shan comes out on her channel and reports things that have been told to her by Cindy or by Cheryl or by Malehya. He's worried because she speaks to them. He's worried that they might turn around and say something that's going to make Daniel look really bad. But now he's going to tap into what a lot of people have said, and that is that in terms of Malehya communicating with those three, she's only relaying back the information. She's not producing receipts. She's not showing messages like other content creators do when they've communicated with Malehya or someone. She's not having Malehya come on her channel and do an interview or anything like that. So that's what he's tapping into. But of course, he would love it if Malehya came out and spoke on someone's channel, because straight away he would take that and he would twist it. Oh, he's totally gaslighting. Totally. He's really, you can tell he doesn't like Shan because she is in cahoots with Malehya, as he would probably think of it. Yes. It does. The silence works for him, but he's desperate for her to come out. Yeah, this is not long after the bathroom break. So you can hear starting to change. He's a little bit less reserved in what he's saying. Possible, Fred, possible.
Wait, say that
She
one more
just
time.
keeps leading on her viewers, saying, "I'm in the know. I know, Daniel." Like, or
Oh,
she'll stand out and sit in front of the courthouse. Daniel, where are you at? I'm doing a live stream. Daniel, where are you at? Daniel.
Do you think he's a little bit afraid of shenanigans? She's got under his skin. Yeah, I think you're right. It is an alternate reality. It's beyond gaslighting. It's something else entirely. That statement, you can guarantee that's going to come out in court. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? He's kind of got a point, but he's twisting it for his own benefit. I do find it concerning for any content creator to get close to someone who is potentially a suspect in a case. I do find it concerning if a content creator is basically giving information without producing receipts. I know. They were just such precious little children, weren't they? Jack looks like he was so worried about getting in trouble about something there. Oh, okay, apparently her channel is back. I haven't checked. Yep, Grover. That is the one. It's a struggle for him. I'll just run back a little bit.
To her.
Wait,
She just keeps leading on her viewers, saying, "I'm in the know. I know, Daniel." Like, or she'll stand out and sit in front of the courthouse. Daniel, where are you at? I'm doing a live stream. Daniel, where are you at? Daniel, I'm waiting to see you. Where are you at, Daniel? Are you coming, Daniel? Like, that right there is the epitome of the desperation that lady has.
Had trouble spitting that out, didn't you, Daniel? That's the epitome of desperation. Tell us about the epitome of desperation, Daniel. Because I think you could tell us what the epitome of desperation is. We see that quite often in your gaslighting, and we're seeing a bit of that now in the way you are basically trying to run shenanigans down.
And I've never seen in my life someone so desperate for content. And she goes on, she's bashing Darren. I mean, that's fine. That's fine.
He's never seen someone so desperate for content. I could tell you a few other channels that are so desperate for content that they're not even really talking about anything closely connected to this case. Dear. Okay, so her content is back up. Of course, the stalkers are going to figure it out before anyone else. Yep, that's for sure. Yep, he wants to discredit her more than anybody else because she's communicating with Malehya, and Malehya probably has a lot of things that she could tell, shenanigans that she could put out publicly that Daniel wouldn't like. I have no idea why people are going at the bus driver. It's utterly ridiculous. It kind of doesn't matter to us where he lives, and yet they're putting out all these malicious rumours and bits of misinformation about him. Like, do you really think he would be employed as a bus driver without them doing a background check for starters, without, presumably in Canada they have to have these like working with children checks. I get so sick of those channels who just go after one person after the next, just because it's a good narrative and it gets the views.
At this point, like I don't like saying that because, you know, Jordan's been my friend for over 20 years, and I don't like saying that about Darren, but that's just how it is. Darren has caused so many issues and he's misled the public.
Well, he didn't.
Do you think him and Janie are now a bit afraid that Darren's going to flip on them and say something about what he knows? Because this is such a turnaround. We know that there's been this falling out between Darren and Janie and Daniel. And now all of a sudden, he's like gunning for Durwood. He's going to throw Durwood under the bus. Yep, that tends to happen after his toilet breaks. He does start to become a little bit giddy after his toilet breaks. True. Jordan was arrested after this. Yeah. I think he's, especially, saying Darren has caused so many issues and he's misled the public. This is him getting in before Durwood says something that's going to incriminate him and or Janie. Oh God. See, I don't even listen to them anymore. They're morons. They keep confusing the bus driver's wife with his sister. Honest to God. I know, what a hard thing to do. It's a good thing Daniel's so virtuous and he wouldn't dare mislead the public. But, Durwood does. And he, such a bad person. Yeah, the bad person who was pushing your narrative for you for many, many months, Daniel. Until something happened and you all had a falling out. And, this could be the big unraveling. The whole falling out between the people involved in this cover-up. Yeah. The biggest red flag for me is when Durwood was on Sunny's, or talking to Sunny, and she brings up about Daniel's phone and that it's not usual for them to give someone a phone when they've taken theirs. And that she basically says to Durwood, well, I think they're tracking his phone. And all of a sudden, Durwood's like, oh, and I think he's going to try and fit me up. I think he's going to try and blame me and say that, I was the person that removed the children from the property or something like that. Red flag there, Durwood, red flag.
definitely do you any favors. I'll tell you
No, but
that.
I mean, it's not just that. He's openly broke the heart of this community, where he said, "I know who was driving the car.
Well, that's what I mean.
I think Jack and Lily are alive, and I think I know where they are." Like,
Are you serious? Are you serious? You've got to be shitting me, right? I'm sorry. This is the Australian coming out in me. You have to forgive me. In Australia, the languages come out as soon as we start to hear crap like this. I would imagine Daniel's phone was possibly an Android, because I know Janie's was and Malehya's was, but that doesn't guarantee it. Definitely. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. Here he is, criticising Durwood. He broke the heart of the community by saying that Lily and Jack were alive, by pushing this whole narrative that someone's put them in a car and taken away somewhere. Yeah, right, because you never said that, Daniel. You never said it directly, but you said enough to lead people in that direction so that there was no doubt in people's minds every time you spoke about the children and the day they went missing. You made sure that you led people far enough down that track to make sure that they understood that you were accusing Malehya of having someone remove the children from the property. And now he turns around and attacks Durwood over that. Like, hello. Jordan's explosive reactivity changes his father's involvement. Continued relationship with Daniel after he cost him his relationship and employment. Yeah. That's for sure. You know, the only Jordan still supports Daniel 100%. And in terms of Daniel and Durwood, that only went south recently, and it seems to be from some sort of falling out between them. I think it's got to be more than Janie saying, "I didn't say shush." There's got to be more to it, because that seems like a trivial thing for a falling out. Oh, exactly. Not only is it the odd behaviour, but this is the thing that makes me think that Durwood has to be involved, because he does not take criticism well. And yet, when everyone started pushing back and saying Durwood is full of crap, this is all fabricated, all that sort of stuff, he has continued to involve himself. He's still involving himself. Now, we're 15 months in. He was discredited 12 months ago, and yet he's still coming out and sticking his nose in. Does that really sound like someone who's not involved? Because it sounds like he's involved to me. Yeah, well, it could. I think it probably does coincide with more attention on him and Jordan, because we also get him talking about the RCMP doing an exercise at the back of his property with dogs. that whole conversation, that odd conversation between him and Susan, where he looks out his window and there's half the RCMP there doing some sort of exercise, some training exercise right there on his property. It wouldn't be a training exercise, Durwood. So I think the falling out is because he's worried that he's going down for it. Yeah, and Kent too. He was involving himself before Durwood even came out. And we get Janie, when she finally talks, saying on Facebook that she wanted to thank Kent and he knows what it's about. And the pair of them are still heavily involved. Still trying to control narratives. You've got to wonder what their involvement is. Yep. Heavy machinery operator. Got Kent, who wrecks cars, who had a fire a month after the children went missing, where multiple clients' vehicles were lost in that fire. Just happened to be the ratty old shed, not the really good, expensive one. Got to wonder, you really do.
I'm 1,000% ironclad. Like,
right.
That will always be. I almost think someone should make up a T-shirt that says 1,000% ironclad.
I know.
Iron. You don't pronounce the R, Daniel. It's just ironclad. Daniel, we could make up multiple T-shirts with things you say. I do remember those rumors. I need to go back through all my screenshots and see if I can find that, because I am curious to know if just maybe Scamnita was hovering in the background and putting out little stories in the first place. Superman lizard. Oh yeah, that would make a good T-shirt, wouldn't it? Lizard lips with. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Don't give me ideas.
just for the aspect of, I mean, that's a funny joke to make, but the overall situation that we're dealing with isn't funny, right?
Right.
But
yeah.
And it's not a situation where it's a humor situation, but there's these little glimpses of humor that are inside, but the overall situation is dire and not a situation to laugh or you make jokes at.
But when it comes,
oh, Daniel, yeah, we laugh at you and make jokes about you all the time. He's trying to, again, pretend like he has empathy. He's trying to pretend like he's concerned about Lily and Jack being missing. But it actually aggravates me hearing him talk about it in this way. Like, the overall situation, it's not funny. Like, he's trying to make it sound like he's so concerned and, let's bring it back to Lily and Jack. I haven't heard him in any of this audio from Sonny's actually name up Lily and Jack. He says the baby's name quite often, but I'm still waiting to hear him specifically say Lily and Jack. Yep. Not only that, it's not just quicker than the mouth moves. I think the brain's about a mile behind as well, because otherwise he'd realise how ridiculous he sounds. It does my head in. I cannot stand hearing him talk about, oh, the overall situation is dire, and you know, it's not a situation to laugh at, but you got to laugh. Oh yeah, 100%. He is a concern troll. That is a good way of putting it. That's for sure. Just keep going a little bit longer.
Case, it's of course it's always, you know, like just because sometimes we can let loose a little bit in chat or in the live. I wasn't born.
We're all human, Sonny, and there's these little things that are funny, right? And you can't deny yourself that little smile in a time where it's such a tragic situation.
Well, that's just the bottom line.
Ding, ding, ding. Here comes tragic again. He leaks these words constantly. Now, if he truly believed, like he says, that Lily and Jack are still alive and that they're out there somewhere and, you know, they're just missing, calling it a tragic situation really doesn't fit with what he's trying to push.
Did Malehya do drugs as well? Because she said, Anita had said that.
Yeah.
Or if you don't want to say.
No, I don't know. I will talk about anything as long as it's not anything that can be detrimental to Child Protective Services or the other stuff that I have going on, which I'm not going to talk about.
Right.
But I think everybody knows what it is, right?
You know.
Oh, gosh. He can't help himself, can he? He really can't. I'll talk about anything so long as it's not going to, you know, be detrimental to the CPS staff or the other staff, because he wants to bring it up. He wants to bring it up in a way that will allow him to leak a bit of information like he did in Charmaine's channel, so that he can, again, name up the victim in his case, or make sure that people know exactly who the victim is, without making it look like he was the one that brought it up in the first place. Nothing. And yet he got on, was it here or on Charmaine's, where he's like, oh, they always edit out the bits in my interviews where I'm pleading for the children. Well, so far, this is, according to the timestamps that I can see on my transcript, this is an hour into his conversation with Sonny, and not once has he tried to advocate for Lily and Jack. The entire time, it's been about Daniel. Yeah, they say a lot and they tell us nothing. You're so... Yep, they are. In his mind, they're past tense. He claims that he believes they're alive, but he keeps spinning it out in past tense. Exactly. This whole, you know, they edit it out, and yet we have that news footage right there, where the reporter says, and the message still is. Like, he needed a full-on prompt to be reminded that the purpose of doing that interview was to talk about Lily and Jack. Definitely minimising. I find it interesting that when he talks about Malehya and Ruggs, that he's really stuttering. I'm going to go through, I'll go through and I'll finish to when he talks about, I'll do a little bit more of this and then I'll probably have to wrap it up.
If you don't want to say.
No, I don't know. I will talk about anything as long as it's not anything that can be detrimental to Child Protective Services or the other stuff that I have going on, which I'm not going to talk about. But I
Right.
think everybody knows what it is, right?
You know, absolutely.
So,
But so did she do meth? Did she do drugs? Because
Malehya, as far as I know, when she was with me, she has never touched hard drugs. I have never convinced her to do any drugs.
okay.
Like I'm not like
I've never convinced her to do any drugs. Does that mean you tried to convince her and she wasn't interested? Because that's an interesting choice of words. But I do wonder. I cannot turn around and say that I am confident that she wasn't doing hard drugs. Not when we look at the situation.
but she had a shatter pen, which is, I think some of the viewers may not know what that is. What it is
Right.
just concentrated THC in a vape, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And she
yeah.
smoked that. She did want to do it when she was breastfeeding Meadow, and I told her no.
Course you did, Daniel. Course you did. Again, Daniel the hero. Let's throw it all back on Malehya. This is something that he's probably bringing up in the CBS stuff, claiming that she wanted to still use her shatter pen when she was breastfeeding the baby, and I told her no. Yeah. Malehya wasn't an angel when she got together with Daniel. Definitely a possibility. Yeah, getting in ahead of the accusations with the I didn't convince her or whatever it was he said. I've never convinced her to do any drugs. Essentially reading between the lines, he's getting ahead of the accusations and also basically going, well, if it comes out that she was doing hard drugs, it wasn't me. I didn't convince her to do it. She did it herself. She made that choice. Yep. So much time has elapsed and he's evolved. But in this 9-hour live, what percentage was advocating for Lily and Jack? So if we are a bit over an hour into the live stream, so we've just had 10% of the live stream already, and of that 10%, 0% was advocating for Lily and Jack. So it's not looking good. He may have convinced others. It certainly makes you question that. It's really not hard to just ask Paul Flores, ask Stephen Stearns. It's really not hard. Something that just kind of I don't believe that this is the case in this instance, but we never know. They went to the smoke store or whatever it was to get a vape for Daniel on the Wednesday or the Thursday. Now Daniel's talking here about Malehya having a shatter pen, which is a really hard, heavy duty kind of THC that's going to get you really, really stoned really quickly. And just thinking about Belinda talking about the model play that Lily used to engage in, and that Lily saw Belinda vaping when she gave up smoking, and Lily wanted to do it herself. kids can overdose from shatter pens. I don't think that's what happened, but it's certainly a consideration. Yeah. I won't put that up, Bonza, but so true, so true. So I think that's a good spot to stop there, because then he starts going on about Vodka Man and Scam Neither, which yeah, because Hayden is 10 years younger than Malehya. So he would have been in high school still when Malehya and Daniel were living at Paddy's. Good point. Yeah, Tash Page, it's gone on too long. I wish just, the universe would step in like it did with Maddie, and somehow something would happen that would allow them to be found. I mean, we're talking about 2 children here. I try not to think about that side of things, because it's heartbreaking to think about what they may have experienced, what they may have witnessed. Law enforcement have to have Narcan on them because of how dangerous fentanyl is. His tadpoles were drones. So you can imagine secondhand smoke from fentanyl. One of the things that came out in the Kylie Rodney case is there was a kind of an awareness thing that was put out that dealers were putting out tablets that were in pretty colours to make them appealing for, like, oh, look, they're multicoloured ones. You can get a purple tablet, or you can get a green tablet. And the risk to children of these tablets, which, if it's illegal stuff, it's not going to be perfectly mixed. So you could get one of these tablets and it could have a lethal dose of fentanyl in it. Yeah. Yeah, all those sort of things can be toxic. It's a scary thought, thinking of what their home life was like. Yep, we're less than a month away now. So let's just hope that things start to progress on September 3rd. I think given that they got that extra long extension, I think that to me says that it has to progress on September 3rd. Yeah, that's a scary thought, isn't it? People who the whole medical system lets them down in terms of not just anxiety, but all sorts of mental health issues. So they buy stuff off the street, and it doesn't end well. It's a scary, scary thought. Just takes one time to get the wrong thing. Yeah, Tash Page, I agree. Addiction is a public health issue. It's... Oh, heck yeah. That can be one of the biggest things. And that's why you see so many teenagers getting into these dangerous illegal drugs because there's so much pressure. Now, obviously, there's, it's created a huge market and there's kids that get into it, not so much because of the pressure, but because they think it's cool. Yeah. Daniel was just self-medicating for ADHD. Of course he was. We believe that, don't we? That's for sure. I'm going to wrap it up here. I will put on Daniel's drone song, I think, to finish off with. Didn't even know it was a thing till Jay Slater. The Kylie Rodney case was a major eye-opener for me, I have to say. Just learning about the rugs and all the hazards and stuff like that. But it is something that's just gotten out of control, in my opinion. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. I will put up the drone song to finish off, but before I do, just want to say, if you haven't hit the like button, please do so. That helps me a lot. If you are new, please subscribe. If you're listening on replay, please leave a comment below. And even if you are just listening now on the live, feel free to come and leave a comment. I will put the link for the video that I did about the forensics on Malehya's vehicle in the description for these live streams, so that if you wanted to go and watch that, you can. So let me find this one. Where is it? I'll put this up and I'll just say thank you, and I'll catch you in the next one.
So tall, the cars are parked and watching